Hello, I'm Stephen Missick, and we're continuing on fighting the Patriot Purge. And in this program, we're going to talk about a very dangerous left-wing extremist who has participated in some unethical and illegal and potentially criminal acts. And this man's name is David J. Wray, W-R-A-Y. So, we're going to look at this man's resume, and we can see that this guy is an unhinged leftist. The first thing you need to know about him is he's a reporter. He's a left-wing CNN, MSNBC, lunatic left-wing fringe reporter. And something's obvious from a conservative, Make America Great, Trump supporter. This individual, this sick individual, is what we would call a swamp creature. He is when you look at the military, you need to understand there's been an attempt by the Democrat Party to politicize the military. They've been wanting to do that for a long time. There's certain institutions the left has seized, like academia, the journalism profession, Hollywood, but the military is a traditional institution, which means it tends to be a more conservative institution. And you have people who believe in the country and love the country of America, the Constitution, what it represents, who wants to serve to preserve that. And the leftists, they're Marxists, they're totalitarianists, they don't believe in our Constitution, and they want a totalitarian system. They want to fundamentally transform America, as Obama puts it. Now, we need to bear in mind that even though the military tends to be more conservative, it's everybody's military. And throughout my career, we've had a lot of people all across the political spectrum serving together because we're all Americans. And we're all trying to serve this country that we love. But of course, the Democrats want to wokeify and politicize the military, and they don't want people to be able to serve, as we've seen these past 4 years. And recruitment took a big hit because they're going to make the military woke. And there was a systematic Patriot Purge, a systematic campaign to violate the rights of soldiers and military service people who supported President Trump. They're trying to say that Trump supporters and Republicans are extremists and can't serve in the military. Now, about people like David Wray, he's a hateful person. There are dangerous left-wing extremist hate groups like the ACLU, the Southern Poverty Law Center, Media Matters for America. These are lunatic fringe groups that are very dangerous, and they should be labeled as hate groups. But unfortunately, they have a lot of credibility in the left-wing media. And I believe that hopefully, if we continue to have conservatives in power, these organizations should face the consequences of being left-wing extremist groups that harm our society. So, that's the problem we have right now, is the left has gone so far out there, we need to move them, kicking and screaming perhaps, to the center. But they're going to have to be defeated again and again and again before that happens. Now, about people that are hateful, like David Wray, I remember I was watching James O'Keefe. There's it's a money laundering operation the Democrats use for illegal campaign contributions. It's called Act Blue. So, going through public records, James O'Keefe, an independent reporter, realized that there's a massive money laundering campaign organization going on through Act Blue. So what he was doing is he was going up north into a deep blue state, and he's knocking on doors and just asking people. It says, how much money do you give to the DNC through Act Blue a month? Oh, well, maybe $10 sometimes $100. And James O'Keefe says, it says here you're giving $10,000 to $100,000 a month. So what they were doing, the Democrat Party apparently, whoever this is doing is they're just funneling these monies in these names of people who had no idea these campaigns, these campaign contributions of monumental sums are being made. But what struck me when I was watching that video is how nice these people seem. James O'Keefe is knocking on the door, and an elderly couple comes out, and they seem nice and friendly. There's only one person who's a basket case who's going around following James O'Keefe, just screaming, "I want to kill Trump. Trump must die." But most people seemed, and I was thinking, it's like, Act Blue is a radical left-wing group. It's a hate group. And it's like, why would these people give to these extremist groups like that? And what we need to realize is they hate us as conservatives, Republicans, and Southerners. People on the left hate us. Why? We don't hate them, but they hate us. And it's sad. I think that they're victims of left-wing propaganda. I mean, if you listen to CNN and MSNBC and believe it, of course you'd be filled with fear and hatred against people that are different from you. So it's insidious, it's dangerous. But some of these people they just don't know any better. Maybe they're not smart, maybe they're not informed, maybe they haven't been exposed to different ideas. They probably don't want to. They should sit down and talk to people and see that we're all Americans, we're all human beings, we have more in common than different. But the left, the Democrat Party, wants us to hate each other and fight each other and have this discord, like racial conflict. Instead of coming together and loving one another, they want, that's why they report it all the time. Not just for viewership, just because they want to create conflict, hatred, and division, because it's divide and conquer. So David Wray, I think he's just a hateful person. And when you look at political activism, one of the things that Democrats do, Democrats don't believe in freedom of speech. In some ways, there's a lot of political things I don't really care about, but we have to be engaged because they want to police our speech. It's like, how can we have progress if you can have dialogue, discussion, and debate? We're not allowed to put our opinions out there. They want to silence us. And they vocally say it. They don't believe in the First Amendment. They don't believe in freedom of speech. They don't believe in freedom of religion. Apparently they don't believe in freedom of assembly for us. But these are attacks on our Constitution. And to me, the most important thing about our Constitution is the Bill of Rights. Freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the right to assemble, the right to petition our government. They want to take this away. The Democrat Party wants to take that away. And they replace it with a totalitarian system. And that's one of the biggest things the Democrat Party does. And these leftist organizations, especially like Southern Poverty Legal Center, wherever it is, Law Center, and Media Matters for America, is they monitor free speech. They score the internet for anybody that's to the right of Mao Zedong and Pol Pot, and you're an extremist. Label you as an extremist. All kinds of accusations they'll make against you to silence you, because they don't want people to be able to openly say what they really think and what they really feel. You have to mouth the Democrat Party line. And it's Orwellian. It's like, you get scared. It's like, what am I supposed to believe today? Got to check the New York Times. Where are we at? Because if you have an opinion that's from last year, you can be labeled as a member of a hate group. You just got to, whatever the Democrat Party says today, that, just got to, it's a mindless, blind allegiance. But these people who are devoted to leftism and this desire to create a totalitarian police state, the way that David J. Wray is, they don't want people to be able to express an opinion. And of course, they're going to make all kinds of accusations against you. Because it's all about power, right? They want to take power, and they want to maintain power. And you have to have conformity. You can't have people pushing back, thinking for themselves, speaking out. You have to be crushed. And David Wray is part of that engine of censorship. And this is what this wicked, evil, twisted, sick. The man is a traitor to our country. He's an enemy of our Constitution. He's a domestic extremist. He's a traitor. He's seditious, and he's treasonous. David J. Wray. This jerk has a military career. So you look at his resume, and you see that he's a left-wing media person. He's a journalist. And he has had a career in the Navy, which is the most liberal branch of the military. Why is that? I don't know. It's the very liberal cult. They're like, they just want to be more sophisticated and refined, not like me, Army people who are out there fighting. They're on their boats floating around. They think they're better than the rest of us. And one of the ways people try to be sophisticated and with the in crowd is to be, socialist, Marxist, communist. That makes you sophisticated. You're smart. You're getting invited to the right cocktail parties. You're better than other people. That's just, the Navy has that problem. more than other branches. And of course, you had this attempt to politicize the military, spearheaded by this, partially by this David Wray character. But he's retired from the military. He made captain, and that's a pretty high rank. That's the equivalent of an Army full bird colonel. So a captain in the military is a lower rank than for an officer than a captain in the Navy. Now he's not an admiral or anything like that, but it's a pretty significant rank to make captain. And he retired there, but his career has been in journalism. So he's a left-wing reporter, and his whole career as a civilian has been in the D.C., the greater D.C. area, working for the government bureaucracy. So this character, this villain, this enemy of the Constitution, this domestic extremist, is what conservatives and Trump supporters would call a swamp creature. Just look at his resume. He's pretty. It comes across, and the funny thing is, you look at the bottom of his resume, and he has a picture of my favorite things in the world, what I really like, Barack Hussein Obama. Barack Obama. I mean, I'm a Christian. I support Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, and the Bible comes first. But I feel, especially in 4 years in the Obama administration, the hostility towards people of faith, towards conservative Christians, the animosity, which you just feel it, just hatred and animosity from Obama, from the Democrat Party, towards traditionalist Christians. And you feel threatened by it. We should feel threatened because, I mean, he's trying to make Christians and conservatives objects of scorn, of hatred, trying to marginalize us. It's very disturbing. And that's part of the reason why we had President Trump elected. And then we had all these shenanigans in 2020. I always felt like, if there's things going on wrong in our country and our government, you need to speak out, right? We have a constitutional system. That's how we resolve our problems, not by engaging in violence, but by just speaking openly, courageously, tackle these problems to find solutions. I do not advocate violence. I think that, the Revolutionary War, I believe that was a just war, so I guess there's but you do everything you can to avoid violence. You pray it never comes to that. But we have a legal constitutional system to resolve conflicts. We shouldn't resort to violence. But someone like David Wray doesn't believe in the constitutional system. He believes that he believes in persecution, oppression of divergent points of view. If you're not a good Marxist, totalitarianist like him, he wants you crushed. So look at what's been going on. We have this book by CNN, Jake Tapper, that not Barack Obama, well, he's probably controlling the government the whole time, past 4 years. No, Joseph R. Biden was mentally debilitated when he was running for office. This isn't me, this is a CNN reporter who's interviewed over 200 people. And the Times of London is saying that based on this book, there were 5 people. So he had a mentally disabled, totally incapacitated president. And there were people, staffers, who were running the government. And the so-called president had no idea what's going on, and they're controlling his auto pin. Their reports are being investigated right now through whistleblowers. They were you give us money, we'll give you a presidential pardon. I mean, this is corruption. But this is the kind of government that David J. Wray wants. And if you complain about it, he's going to sick the authorities on you and try to destroy your life forever. And he wants to reduce people that disagree with him and dare to state a divergent opinion. He wants the full power of the jackboot of the government on your neck, crushing the life out of you. So this is what he tried to do. This is what this bastard did to me, right? So, I had this Rumble channel. I still have it. You can watch my videos. I'm a mainstream. To him, the thing is, he's a left-wing extremist. An extremist isn't going to say, oh, yes, I'm an extremist. Maybe some will, but that's very rare. People tend to think that, oh, yeah, I'm just middle of the road. Dan Rather was asked about his politics. What do you think about the New York Times? Oh, that's just the middle of the road. The middle of the road, New York Times is a far leftist publication. It's just a fact. Everybody knows it, and unless you're brainwashed into that system. There's been a lot of criticism about how left-wing the New York Times is. But Dan Rather and his ilk, they're extremists, but he thinks that his point of view is middle of the road. So there are a lot of things. I mean, this is what happened. They installed a totally mentally incapacitated man as president. Very suspicious activities that went on during the 2020 election. I don't believe it. I don't believe he legitimately won election. I have a problem with that. I believe in the Constitution, that we're supposed to protect and defend the United States Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I'm telling you, David J. Wray is an enemy of the United States Constitution. He's a totalitarianist. And so it looks like he has his two favorite people on his resume. You can check it out. This bastard lives in Fort Lee. Oh, they changed the name of Fort Lee. All this Maoist stuff they do. It's just crazy. I was down in the border, and people don't know this, but down the border in Rio Grande Valley, a lot of important battles, the Civil War, were fought in that area. And there's some local historians like, let's put a monument here. It's like, you better watch out about this. And they're not talking about a side or one side or the other. They're saying, here, this is where this battle took place. Here's one who won. Here's who lost. Here's who fought. I mean, the Democrats are going to go on that. They want to. It's like I said, they're Orwellian. No history, especially about the Civil War. So Fort Lee is now Fort Greg Adams. Where this guy lives in this greater D.C. area, the swamp. David J. Wray is a swamp creature. So this is what he did. So I had a moderately successful. I don't think I was ever going to become famous. You don't worry about that. Just do what you think is right. I had a little audience, 5,000 subscribers, and millions of views, And most of my content, like this, look at this book, Archaeology. This is about the Aramaic language of Jesus. Another thing I'm working on is the Homilies of Clement, early Christian literature, the Syriac world. I mean, these are things I talk about a lot. History, biblical studies, archaeology. That's most of my content. Most of my content is getting views. And this is the lives of the 12 apostles in my book. Here, one of my books. And this is about the Ebionite Judaism. And so it's not political content. Probably, when I had a YouTube channel, about 85% of my content's not political. Every once in a while. And usually when I put something political up, I would this is going to have talking about political issues. I want to put like 4 videos to counterbalance it because I didn't want my channel consumed with politics. Let's put some political videos out there, but I want the focus to be on biblical studies. But because it's a January 6th, they took my channel down because they wanted to control the narrative. I filmed January 6th. Everything I did. It was people were happy, in a good mood. It's a typical Trump rally. They had a narrative of insurrection, and they censored my video and took down my channel because they exploited January 6th for all it's worth. I was just looking today. I need to do a video about this. It's like Benny Johnson was talking to Ed Martin about January 6th and the true narrative about what happened. And because they're censorious, doing censorship, they didn't take Benny Johnson's probably too big for them to target for censorship. They could take me down. Nobody's going to really know. Well, I guess people say, where did Dr. Missick go? FBI don't like people that are Republicans and conservatives and traditionalists. So, censorship. That's the America. That's the America that David J. Wray wants. You say the wrong thing, you think the wrong thing, you're gone. You're going to be disappeared. And that's a very frightening and disturbing America. I wish David J. Wray would take his worthless, traitorous, and seditious ass and go to the communist I hope, they probably end up putting him in a gulag, as he'd deserve. Serve him right. Go to Cuba, you bastard. Stop trying to take away our freedoms, you enemy to the Constitution, you enemy of our First Amendment. People in the Revolutionary War, they fought and died so we could be free, and we have David J. Wray, that bastard, trying to strip us of our freedoms and make us slaves of the state. And he's working for our federal government, as he has his whole life. You know what he is? He's a parasite. He's a leech. I'd like to see this. Hopefully he'll get his just desserts. This man deserves to be behind bars for what he did. He's a criminal, and what he's done is illegal. It's just infuriating. But he's promoted. He gets all the accolades. while just your average American people living on the border of poverty, he reduces us and me to homelessness. What did I do? So we're just, okay, we got these problems, all these questions about the election. Anyway, Wikipedia's got, it's putting all these, I'm taking screenshots of it because I think pretty soon the truth about January 6th and the 2020 election is going to be exposed. And they need to be exposed. So they put this little filter on there. And it just says it's ridiculous. On January 6, 2021, the United States Capitol in Washington, D.C. was attacked by a mob of supporters of President Donald Trump in an attempted self-coup 2 months after his defeat in the 2020 president. This is garbage. Attempted coup. I was there. All we wanted, actually, they didn't do what we wanted. All I wanted, all these the million people that were there, 500,000 to 1 million people, it's probably 1 million people there. All we wanted was our voice to be heard. Contest the electors, because the Democrats, whenever they lose, they contest the electors. How come we can't contest the electors? Contest the electors, have the testimony and vote. I doubt they would have voted our way, but it's the process. They make it seem like we're trying to stop them. No, we were there to support them as they contested the electors. But they had these agent provocateurs going in there. They're probably all federal agents, the people that are rioting. I didn't even see any violence. I was there all day long. I couldn't even conceive of violence going on. I don't believe in violence. That doesn't support our cause in any way. It undermines what we're trying to do. But what they did is we're going there. We went to them to contest the electors. I think it'd be very unlikely for us to have been able to stop Joe Biden from taking office. But it's like, okay, this is going to happen. We need to let our voices get heard. We need to use the process. There's a process, contesting electors and hear testimony. They would have voted probably a bunch of cowards. I guess there's this remote chance, a remote chance that we could have stopped. I guess that's what they're afraid of, that Joe Biden might have been able to be prevented from becoming president. So what they did was they used the so-called riot as an excuse to stop the debate and ram through ratification of Joe Biden. So that's actually the opposite of what we went there for. We went there to support the congressmen and senators as they voiced our concerns about how a lot of peculiarities and shenanigans and oddities about the 2020 election. We're not allowed to. And then what they did is like, oh, you can't question the 2020 election. You better not say anything. So instead of, we're trying to restore faith in the electoral system. We need to have reforms so that we can reinstill trust that our votes count. The system works and it's legitimate. That's what we want to do. But no, you're not going to talk about it. If we're going to censor you, and that's just not the American way. But back to this David J. Wray, an enemy of our republic, and a total disgrace. So what he does is I have these innocuous videos. Like I said, most of my content isn't really political. And this guy's so liberal. Like I said, I support President Trump. Do I have a picture of Trump on my resume? No. Does David J. Wray have a picture of Obama on his resume? Probably of the most damaging, probably one of the worst presidents in human history around the world. Barack Hussein Obama. Awful. He had so much goodwill in his first term. Obama did. Oh, this transformative figure. But he's so extreme and full of hate that, he squandered that and, a lot. I was looking at how many people voted for him his first time, the second time. It's because he alienated the people of the country. And now, thank God, it looks like his influence on the Democrat Party is waning. Praise the Lord. Couldn't happen soon enough. He's a villain. So they're starting to censor me at the time. This is 2020, 2021, mostly 2021. So they're starting to censor me. This is the FBI apparently, according to Twitter files. They're starting to censor me on YouTube, and it's like, if they're going to censor your channel, if the FBI or whoever targets you for censorship, you're going to be canceled and deplatformed. If they're going to do it, they're going to do it. It doesn't matter. It's like, well, you shouldn't have to do that, right? This is America. This is the land of the free, the home of the brave. We should be able to say whatever. I'm not talking about violent. I'm not calling for violence. I'm saying, I'm not saying profanity or I don't believe in illegal, criminal speech. I don't believe in any of that. But just voicing your opinion, you shouldn't have to be able to mince words. This is America. But it works. People, oh, if I say this, that, I hear people, they're saying things that just, nothing wrong, just like, okay, you watch a video talking about, let's help rape victims, and they have to beep out the word rape. And it's like, okay, you're not being profane. You're not, because they have these algorithms. You can't carry out conversations. But this is what David Wray believes in: censorship. Censorship. Especially if you don't go with the Democrat Party. He wants you shut down. So I had this Rumble channel, and it was like I had no views on Rumble, and putting up the sermons on Rumble, and I was sending them to my uncle. My uncle was like living all by himself like a hermit, and he likes my sermons. He likes political conversation. Gets his juices flowing. So really, I'm putting these videos up for my uncle because I'm worried about him. He's living by, now he's staying at my father passed away. My uncle's staying at my father's house, and to maintain the property, trying to take care of him, and he's dying, terminally ill. So I'm worried about my uncle, so it's like that's just something that makes him happy, gets him engaged. So I got a sermon, I'm going to send it to my uncle. No views on Rumble. I had views, I had an audience on YouTube, but I have this Rumble channel because they're doing censorship on there. And I'm treating it as if it's a private account. And the videos are really just for my uncle. And, sometimes you get like 3 views, 10, at most 20. It's all right, it's just him and people who are like-minded. So political activism and David Wray. David Wray doesn't want you to question the authority of the Democratic Party, the totalitarian system of the left, the ideology of Karl Marx, which he holds to. He's a very dangerous, evil person. He's an extremist. So one of the things, especially an organization like Media Matters for America, if you listen to talk radio, I haven't listened to it as much as I used to, but Rush Limbaugh would talk about this, and also another person would talk about this is Sean Hannity, where liberals hire people to listen. They're paid to listen to complain about to you against you on the FCC, and they also want you to lose advertisers as well. I remember I was reading a book by Andrew Breitbart. It's a very good book. It's tragic. He died young. He's probably assassinated. His death is, he went for a walk at night and they found his body dead in the street. And he wasn't in the best of health, but he was relatively young and he wasn't terminally ill. And so it's very questionable. He was a very effective conservative thinker and speaker, Breitbart. So he's reading this book. It's very interesting reading his life story. He goes to college. He's going to go to college. I want to go to party school. What's the biggest party school? And that's what he does. He just squanders his youth away, drinking, partying, screwing around in different ways. And finally, just like Van Wilder, that movie, I better graduate. So he finally does. But he's a good liberal. And I guess he goes to California and he's complaining. He's like, because he's told Rush Limbaugh's bad. Rush Limbaugh's bad. Oh my goodness, Rush Limbaugh's bad. So he was talking to another friend of his. Oh, Rush Limbaugh's bad. He says this, that, and the other. Death to Rush Limbaugh. So his friend says, have you ever actually listened to Rush Limbaugh? No. It's like, if you're going to form an opinion, why don't you try to have an informed opinion? Just listen to him just one day. While you're driving around, turn on the radio and listen to what he has to say. And if it's bad, then you'll know. You don't really know. All you know about Rush Limbaugh is people tell you he's bad and people tell you what he supposedly said. Why don't you listen to it for yourself? So Andrew Breitbart did listen to Rush Limbaugh, and he became a conservative. In fact, a very powerful and influential conservative. His life was cut too short. But I often wonder about that, because these liberals just hate us. They hate us. I mean, we don't hate them, disagree with them. We don't hate them. I don't hate anybody. But they hate us, just hate us. And just irrational, insane, like David Wray has, just hates conservatives. And, it's like these. So Sean Hannity complains about, I know you're out there, you're working for Media Matters, all you do is, you're in your mother's basement in your pajamas, monitoring every single thing I say. If I say something remotely questionable, I, shoot off a letter to the FCC to have my, file a complaint against me, close my, why do they do that? During the 80s, Christians and, a lot of church group people would complain about profanity and vulgarity on TV programs or profane lyrics in music videos or and rock and roll and music, they complain about that. And people say, well, if you don't like it, just don't listen to it. Just change the channel. But they pay people a lot of money to try to silence us, to listen to what we say, to file complaints, to take people, Christians, conservatives, Republicans, off the air. So this is a form of political activism that leftists engage in, the censorship campaign. So you can look at David Wray's resume. He has a picture of Obama. He also has a picture of General Petraeus. And in the conclusion, we'll talk about General Petraeus a little bit. But this is a very political person. So what is Rumble? What is Rumble? Rumble is a conservative alternative to YouTube. And a lot of people, I remember this. This is something we need to talk about, right? So you have Facebook. All right. For some reason, the liberals, they don't like Trump. I don't like Obama, but you have to deal with it. Obama's an evil person. He's a villain, but he was elected as president of the United States. It's just the political process. I don't like him. I think he's horrible, but he won the election, and, there's ways you can oppose him, but you have to respect the office that he holds, right? But they have no respect, the left, for the legitimate president of the United States, Donald J. Trump. So we have the 2020 election, and they overthrow the government, in my opinion. And so you got Facebook and Twitter and YouTube, right? These are the big social media organizations and groups, and they're controlled by the left, right? And they've been doing this for a long time. I don't put a lot of content. I put a lot of content on my Facebook, but I don't put too much political content on my Facebook. So I haven't gone to Facebook jail, because I just don't. I don't know. My cousin puts a lot. That's all she puts up is like, I love her. It's her Facebook channel, page. She can do whatever she wants, but it's like just say every 5 posts she puts, like 4 of them are political and 1 of them's about her life and what she's doing in her family. That's her. Now for me, it's the opposite, because I just don't want my Facebook account to be consumed with politics. So a lot of people have gone to Facebook jail for posting conservative content. Not me, because I don't do it too much. I put political content, it's balanced on YouTube. I didn't put a lot of conservative content on YouTube, but sometimes. I wasn't really on Twitter. I am now, or X. But at this time, they're leftists, right? So what happened is, after Trump is, forced out of office, even though he won the 2020 election, they do censorship. Well, you have to, right? If you're going to do a coup and establish a ruling junta, and you know that you're not legitimate, right? You stole power, you're in a very tenuous position, right? If you actually take power, you have to suppress the opposition, especially if they're the legitimate government. And you have to silence them, because you have to solidify your power and control. So of course they're going to do censorship. And plus they don't respect our democratic process, right? They just overthrew the government, established they got this guy's totally non-compos mentis, severe dementia and senility, mentally incapacitated. They're controlling the government through him. It's hopefully we're going to have a independent counsel, and we're going to have hearings on this. It's an outrage what happened. But, one of the things in this book, David J. Wray supported that. And there are people in this book who say, yes, we knew that Biden was, he's brain dead, basically. But we have to stop Trump at all costs. Therefore, we're going to do this. We're going to install, overthrow the election using COVID to stuff the ballots with fake ballots and other modes of voter fraud. And then you have to do censorship. Well, people don't, we're Americans. We don't like to have censorship, right? So they had this site called Parler. So people are migrating from Facebook and Twitter to Parler. What did they do? The government comes in there, Amazon, and says, you cannot use our servers. If you don't practice censorship. And they did it. They closed them down. They closed Parler down. It's illegal, in a lot of ways. But so Parler never recovered from that. But you had millions of people going to Parler, but then the powers that be, Amazon and others, closed parlor down. And thankfully, and we got Elon, of course they hate Elon Musk for this, but he buys Twitter, and now we got free speech again. It's just good. That's what we want. Engage different ideas, let people think for themselves, and arrive at their own opinions. So, people on YouTube are being censored like me, so people are migrating to Rumble. All right? Eventually my YouTube channel did go down. It's a shame. A lot of that, like I said, most of the content's not political. It's about history, archaeology, literature, but, I also, sometimes I'd express political opinions. So on Rumble, this is part of the censorship campaign, so people are migrating to Rumble. Dan Bongino, there's like Doug Tenable, others, I think even Clay and Buck, censored by YouTube, so they migrate to Rumble, so you can... All right, if you want to look at our videos, see, that's the thing, right? They don't want you to be able to express... You have to conform to the left. You're not allowed to express your opinion at all. This is the new world order, the brave new world of David Wray, where you have this happened. I cannot believe this happened in the United States of America, but it did. And David Wray is all for it. So I don't have a big audience on Rumble to this day, right? I have a big audience on YouTube, but that's gone now. And, they have shadow bans and stuff like that. I'll probably never be able to recreate. I built that channel. I built that audience. And it's criminal that they took it away from me. And like I said, especially since most of my content wasn't political. So on Rumble, I start to put these, people, I have an audience on Rumble. I'm sorry, I have an audience on YouTube, not on Rumble. So I put these, I'm treating Rumble, I'm treating it as if it's a private channel. And, these videos, I know I don't have an audience there anymore. It's mostly for my uncle, who's holed up all by himself, living like a hermit, 45 miles away from his family, and, concerned about him. So I'll send him the sermon, I'll send him, a little political commentary, some joke videos. Some of these videos I've posted up are like, meant to be said, they don't appreciate my sense of humor. But they're satirical videos, and yet, so what happens is David Wray is working for organizations and groups that are under the control of the left or are leftist organizations. And what he does is he's monitoring. This is, like I said, this is political activism. What leftists do, like Media Matters, they're scoring the internet, and he claims, this is absurd. This strains credulity, right? So David Wray is like, I was just looking at Rumble. Why, in God's name, why the hell would a far leftist, just look at his freaking resume. He's got Obama on his resume. Somebody's that political? He's crazy. This guy's a left-wing, unhinged maniac. I mean, like I said, I love President Trump. I'm not going to put him on a resume. I'm not going to say President Trump's my favorite thing in the world, like President Obama is David J. Ray's. So he could not have, what's he doing? What is somebody, a hard leftist like David J. Wray, doing on Rumble other than political activism? That's the only reason why he'd be there. What would attract him to a site like that? I'm sick of CNN and MSNBC. I can't stand them. I hear their crap all the time, and I'm sick of it. I don't want to hear it. It's offensive. I don't believe in what they believe in. I don't believe in their point of view. They hate, just some of the things, as a conservative Christian, so there's some of the things that, where they say things, their headlines, very vitriolic and hateful. I'm just done with CNN. But you can't get away from it, right? You're on the airport, other places, there's CNN. It's all over the place. That's the thing is, like, liberals aren't usually even exposed to conservative point of views. That's why they hate us so much. They don't know us. They're not exposed to our ideas. They're just totally saturated by the left. But some of them do. Some of them do because, so somebody's got a conservative point of view. Let's contact the FCC. Oh, he said this, that, or the other. So there is no way in hell that David J. Wray was watching videos on Rumble. I had no views on my Rumble channel, just like my Uncle Jeff. It's absurd. So he's engaged in political activism, and he targets me. Then this jackass goes to a military database, and he's trying to find my commander. And he's an idiot. David Wray is a freaking idiot. So he contacts somebody in a war zone, probably facing enemy fire. Oh, there's Chaplain Missick said this, that. Oh, you got to stop Chaplain Missick. It's like, what are you talking about? Oh, you got the wrong commander. Oh, you're looking for this other guy with the same name. So this guy, what a fool. What a freaking moron. Bothering and harassing me for nothing? And you know what I said? Everything I said was been proven true. Just stating facts. He doesn't like it. Well, screw you, David J. Wray, you communist bastard. So he's illegally using for political activism, monitoring and silencing dissent. That's something liberals and Democrats do. So he goes in there, and he finally gets a hold of my commander. Oh, Chaplain Missick said some innocuous video, but David Wray finds it offensive. So that gave them, what was going on is you had January 6th. Like I said, January 6th, I really believe that Dime Bongino and Cash Patel are supposed to release this information, but who knows if they will or not. But something's very fishy about January 6th. And no matter what happened, like I said, they're exploiting this for all of its worth, right? Who were these people that are engaging in violence? It's just, if you don't know about January 6th, I strongly recommend you watch this movie by Nicholas Searcy called Capital Punishment, where he actually shows video of Capitol Police shooting into just a peaceful crowd. I was there as a peaceful crowd. But they're trying to agitate the crowd to provoke them into violence. They started shooting. They shot through somebody's face, rubber bullets. You can kill somebody with rubber bullets. Totally unprovoked. Then they open the doors. They usher people in. There was I think there's a criminal conspiracy going on in January 6th. I was standing outside. I had no idea there was any violence going on. I didn't go there. Like I said, I don't believe in violence. But anyway, whatever happened, let's just say I'm wrong, and there were violent Trump supporters. But they exploited this from all its worth. That's why they took my video down, because they had this narrative of violent insurrection. If there wasn't, they don't want people to see what really happened, so they labeled my video as fraud, and I contested it. I said, how is this fraud? I have a GoPro on my head. I just filmed everything, because it didn't show a violent insurrection. They wanted people to question the narrative because they exploited it for all of it. They're using that as an excuse to kick down people's doors in the middle of the night from coast to coast, arrest thousands of people, also to incite fear in people, and a justification for censorship. Oh, these people are so dangerous. They rioted in the Capitol. We can't have censorship. I mean, you can't have free speech. You can't talk about certain issues now because we had January 6th, January 6th, January 6th, January 6th. And I was there, and I didn't see what they said happened. But this is about, they're exploiting this for all that it's worth. So, so because of David Wray, they go after me, and they did a lot of negative things, just ruined my life. This dirtbag, this scum of the earth, this vile, like I say, he's an enemy of our Constitution, domestic extremist, David J. Wray, harassing me, causing disturbances, unwarranted disturbances to people in a war zone, and probably endangering people, distracting them from their mission, just because he doesn't, because he's got a crush. And then he's trying to establish a totalitarian state, one-party rule, and he lost. You're defeated, David J. Wray, bastard, domestic extremist. I hope, I don't know if it's going to happen, I hope that we're able to file charges against David Wray and put him in a prison cell where he belongs. So this scum of the earth, this dirtbag, David J. Wray, lives in Fort Lee, which they changed the name of it, like it's all this Maoist stuff. So now it's called, looking at it, Fort Greg Adams. His wife is a doctor. Her name is Terry Kelly Wray. He's always been he's one of these government bureaucrats. Now he's working for the Defense Contract Management Agency. He's the director of strategic communications. So he does public affairs and journalism for the Defense Contract Management Agency. And he needs to be fired from that, because somebody that hates our country and hates Americans and hates Our great country, our nation, our Constitution, all it represents does not. He's a disgrace to his. Well, I mean, the Navy. What can you say? But I mean, to serve in uniform, a man to disgrace our country, in uniform as he did, just scum of the earth. So let's talk about. It's kind of interesting, really quick. He is symptomatic of a problem we have with officers right now, and we have woke, corrupted universities. I believe in the value of education. It's important. But our educational institutions are corrupted right now. They're about leftism. They're about, Marxism. They shouldn't be about that. It's about learning, expanding your mind, becoming informed and cultivated. But the military is like, we want our officers from good schools. Schools that are corrupted with leftism. Woke universities like Harvard and Princeton. I mean, they have these names everybody knows. Unfortunately, these schools are corrupted. And a lot of our officers are leftists. We see that in General Milley and other people. And this shows how bad. So his interests include Barack Hussein Obama, but also General David Petraeus. David Petraeus is a very unimpressive person. So in Iraq, we had the war on terror. I think the war was mismanaged. I believe in fighting against radical Islamic terror. There's a place for it, but I think the war is mismanaged. So what happened is, we have this war, and it becomes an insurgency. And it basically, what happened is the Saudis and other Islamic extremist networks around the world would recruit people from America, actually, and for the whole world, to go and fight us in Iraq. The Saudi Arabians would send people from Saudi Arabia to they'd actually pay people to do videos of roadside bombs and things like that as recruitment videos. So this is all Saudi Arabian. The whole insurgency was controlled by Saudi Arabia. So what happened is, they killed a lot of soldiers in Iraq, but a lot of people who were dying were innocent Iraqis. They're part of the strategy of the radical Islamist insurgents was to have high casualties, hopefully American casualties. But if you can't get American casualties, at least you can get innocent Iraqi bystander casualties. So it got so bad that these Saudi insurgents and people from all around the Islamic world going to Iraq to fight us, they wore out their welcome, right? People are tired of living with these extremists and suffering because we weren't really, we're not oppressing the people in Iraq. We're leaving them to their own devices. We got these people around the world, Saudi Arabia, commanding, controlling this insurgency. The Iraqis got tired of it. So anyway, in Ramadi, that was a hotbed of extremism. And what had happened is General Petraeus just happened to be at the right place at the right time. But what had happened is, if I remember the story correctly, this is in Ramadi, and inside the school, you have these Saudi Arabians who are teaching radical Islam and jihadism, and there's a young man who just scoffing and making fun of them. They're trying to teach, extreme Sharia law and things like that. And this young man's like, you're a bozo. He's making fun of him. So the Islamists decided to take this young man and make an example of him. So they take him before the student body, and they blew his brains out. But the problem is that was the nephew of the village sheikh. So once he killed, is like, okay, we're done. We're done with these Saudis, these foreigners coming in here and creating problems. And after he killed the nephew of the sheikh, it's like, we want these people out of here. So the sheikh goes to the military and says, we're going to work with you. We want these Saudis and these Salafi, the Muslim terrorists. That's the word for terrorism, Salafi, and some of the groups that are extremist. We want them out. So that was the Ramadi, the whole surge, and the Iraqis started working with us, and we won until Obama came and squandered all of our gains, but we basically won the war in Iraq, and one of the ways that we did. So General Petraeus was there at the right place at the right time. He's taking credit for things that really had nothing to do with him. And he wrote this stupid book. I read some of it. It's called Counterinsurgency. And I'm reading this book, and it's like, I'm not really impressed by this. He doesn't understand Islam. He doesn't understand the Muslim world. It's a bunch of gobbledygook. But since this happened, which had nothing to do, it's just the circumstances. The Saudis overplayed their hand and wore out their welcome. But Petraeus tries to claim credit for this. Oh, this crushing the insurgency, and this is my counterinsurgency program, and he had nothing to do with it. It was the local chieftains and village leaders in Ramadi. They're the ones that achieved this victory. But General Petraeus is there, so he gets credit for it. He writes this stupid counterinsurgency, which I probably gonna be just bound in a closet in a dust room pretty soon, because it's not good advice, in my opinion, based on what I read. Not impressive. So anyway, Petraeus makes a name for himself. He's a liberal. So you just read his book and you learn a little bit about him. So he goes and works with, Obama as a liberal. Oh, this is great. We got a fellow Marxist, Obama. Now we got General Petraeus who's going to work with Barack Hussein Obama. And one of the ways that he showed that, was it just somebody protesting Islam? None of the government's business, right? That's free speech issues. If you're gonna have free speech, you're gonna have speech you don't like. It's just otherwise, they don't believe in free speech, as I said. So Petraeus calls this guy, oh, don't protest Islam. And what was the other thing? There's a Christian company that's making scopes, and they put Bible verses on the scopes, and the media, oh my God, there's Bible verses on these scopes. Oh, this is it's just a serial number. You can't even read it. It's just something they decided to do. Just like you go to In-N-Out, you look at the cup at the bottom of In-N-Out and it has Bible verses in it. But you're shooting at people with Bible verses. General Petraeus got upset. I'm going to cancel this. No soldiers are going to use those scopes anymore. It's just absurd nonsense. Like, why are you getting involved with this petty, ridiculous? General Petraeus, you're a ridiculous person. Your counterinsurgency book is ridiculous. You're getting concerned about, some Yahoo and wherever he was protesting Islam. It's not your damn business what he does. You're a serial number on a scope. You're making much ado about nothing. You're a moron, General Petraeus. So, General Petraeus might be a moron, granted. But I think General Petraeus is a patriot. He loves the country. So he's serving in the Obama administration, and Obama doesn't love this country. I think Obama seeks this country harm. I'll give you an example. There are certain things that happen under the Biden administration that I don't see Biden doing, but I see Obama doing. Like the Afghan, that was not a botched withdrawal. That happened according to plan. That happened the way that Biden and Obama and Susan Rice and Ron Klain wanted it to happen. Yeah, it was ugly and embarrassing. They don't love our country. He's going to he hates America, fundamentally transform this country. He doesn't believe in it. I mean, if you believe in something, you're not going to fundamentally transform it. So, Obama hates this country. I mean, it's true. It's hard for people to fathom that, but it's true. So the so-called Afghan withdrawal. Trump says this. I really respect Trump for saying this, because we had 11 people die in the withdrawal from every branch of the military. But we need it. Trump's the only person that says this. What about the people that had their arms and legs and faces blown off, living with these injuries because of what the Biden administration did? Don't forget our wounded warriors. But that was by design what happened there. And no one's been held accountable for it. And it's an outrage. Just like Hillary Clinton and Obama is responsible for Benghazi. No one's been held accountable for that. That bothers me. As someone who's been deployed to war zone, you don't abandon your troops like they did. In the embassy security. Well, they're like me. They served wearing the same equipment and carrying the same weapons I did. Identify with those guys. If you've been over there and did these deployments, and speak of these navies. Actually, the second deployment I saw a Navy guy over there. The hard fighting is only done by the Army and the Marines. You hardly see the Air Force or Navy people there. We're the ones that fight these wars, not the Navy, not the Air Force, the Army and the Marines. We do the hard fighting and endure the hardships of war, as I have, and as this jackass David J. Wray has not. Scumbag. Scum of the earth. So, I think he does have a deployment, but he's a POS anyway. I don't care. And I'm sure he hasn't endured the hardships I did. Little lazy Navy people in it come after me. Anyway, back to General Petraeus. So, well, first off, so Biden gives like billions of dollars to Iran, unprecedented. Now, Obama had given money to Iran, pallet loads of cash, sends over there for no reason. Obama also, when they stole the election in Iran, and there's a popular uprising in which I wish it. I want to have the Iranians restore freedom. They were going to do it, but Obama came out and said, we're not with the people of Iran, we're the mullahs. So don't uprise against this government. We're not going to support you. So the uprising, which would have been a beautiful thing, would have restored Iran to Persia, to a beautiful free country. Obama stabbed the Persians in the back. He's a villain. So Biden, actually Obama, once again gives Iran billions of dollars. What happens immediately? There's like 1, 2, 3. 1, terrorist attack against the Syrian Christians in Baghdadi, Iraq. 200 people killed in a marriage party. Then after that, the Armenian enclave of Nagorno-Karabakh in Azerbaijan, the Turks kill all the Armenians off and do ethnic cleansing. Both of these things are not reported in the media because the media doesn't care about Christian minorities being persecuted in the Middle East. They don't care about that. And then October 7th, attack on Israel. All this Iran was able to do because they got money. It's like, why would we do that? Well, Obama, that's what he does. So Obama hates this country. He seeks its harm. So now let's go back to, General Petraeus. So for all of his faults, I think that General Petraeus is a patriot and loves his country, right? So he opposes Obama because Obama does not have what's best for our country and for national security around the world at heart. But Petraeus, for all of his flaws, does. So Petraeus pushes back against some of Obama's, gives counsel and advice that Obama doesn't like. So what does Obama do? Takes out Petraeus by exposing him in a sex scandal. Oh, you challenge me, you're going to defy me, I'll fix you. You had an affair, I'm going to make it front page news. Obama did that. To humiliate and destroy somebody he saw. I mean, Petraeus, I'm sure he didn't see himself as an adversary against the president. He's trying to help the president. But since he opposed the Obama agenda, he paid a heavy price. But it's pretty obvious. But David J. Wray is a moron. Probably got his head so far up his ass that he's clueless. Total jackass and moron. And we need to defeat people to maintain America as it is, land of the free and home of the brave. We need to expose people like David Wray. This man has done things wrong. I haven't done anything wrong. I bore true faith and allegiance to the United States Constitution. David J. Wray is a domestic extremist and an enemy of the Constitution who tried to subvert and overthrow our constitutional system and supported this evilness that we've endured for 4 years. That's why, I love my country. I love America. I want to see America preserved as the greatest nation on earth, as a land of freedom and opportunity for everybody and an inspiration to the whole world. The concepts of liberty and freedom and human dignity that are enshrined in our Constitution. I believe in that. David Wray doesn't. It's like, oh, how dare you, antiquated beliefs as an evangelical Christian, believing in the U.S. Constitution, the antiquated document, I'll fix you. I'm going to destroy your life. I'm going to take away everything you worked for your entire life and have you thrown. He did it. Left me totally impoverished and destitute. And I'm the one that's faithful. I don't mind it. I was at January 6th. I don't have any regrets because I stood up for this country in a time of dire need, stood up for freedom, to defend our Constitution. Everything I suffered, I think it's worth it. And I just I hope that there's accountability. That this villain, and I want to do some crowdsourcing out there. David J. Wray, and we have of Fort Lee, Virginia. I've been able to collect a lot of information on this wicked, evil person, the scumbag. But if you're able to get out there, if you're able to research this villain, as I strike back, fight back, stand up for myself against him, there might be something I missed. So if you have anything on him, what groups he's affiliated with, what organization he works with to subvert our democracy and work against our Constitution and to bring America down, which is what he's doing, what he has done. Any other person he's harassed and abused, and abuse his power. And he's doing this rank. That's what he does. I'm Captain David J. Wray, and I'm telling you, I'm outraged by Chaplain Missick. He posted a sermon, and he sent it to his uncle, and his uncle's the only one that saw it, but I saw it too. And Chaplain Missick must pay a heavy price for showing true faith and allegiance to the Constitution, for calling for rule of law and trying to protect and defend our Constitution and celebrating liberty and freedom. Because David J. Wray doesn't believe in liberty and freedom. He doesn't believe in America. He doesn't believe in our Constitution. He wants to subvert and overthrow it and bring in Obama's fundamental transformation of America into a totalitarian police state. That's what they believe in. And that's how you get to go to you can go to your little tea parties, maybe have their little pinky out, and they're so champagne or whatever, cocktail parties, hobnobbing with all these fellow jackasses and morons, thinking they're so sophisticated and better than everyone else. Dream of a better, their communist utopia. So, like I said, there's people from all walks of life in the military. That's a good thing. On the right, the left, and center. And I've worked with soldiers and alongside soldiers who are different political beliefs than myself, and that's fine. We have discussions or debates, dialogues, and agree to disagree and talk about different points of view and perspectives. But David Wray, oh my goodness, how dare you believe in the Constitution, believe in God, to believe in Jesus Christ. We'll teach you a thing or two. We're going to kick you out in the streets, take away everything you own and totally impoverish you and leave you destitute because I'm better than you. I'm a good, the Navy, all this sophisticated intelligentsia of the United States Navy. I guess we used to need a Navy. I don't know. I hope we have a strong Navy, but you're not going to have a strong Navy with people like David J. Wray in it. We have to tackle this issue. And that's one of the things, thank God for Pete Hegseth. And he addresses the problem that we have high-ranking military officers like David Wray. Of course, he's retired. But we don't want people like David Wray in our military. Leftists, Marxist, totalitarianists, people don't believe in freedom, don't believe in freedom of speech, don't believe in freedom of religion. Enemies to our Constitution. No, we can't have people like that. We need to weed them out, and hopefully it's like I said. But what he's doing is like he's illegally accessing the military system for political purposes, and he's using his rank. I'm Captain Wray, and Chaplain Missick preached a sermon as a civilian out of uniform. He didn't like what he said. We're going to take care of him because he's a military service member, and I don't think he should be able to preach that way. So, all right, now let's hold this man accountable. I'm sure he's a gutless coward. I'm going to confront him face to face, man to man. But I'm sure he's going to run away and scurry like the yellow-bellied coward that he is. But for now, I'm going to expose this person. And if you're able to, if there's people that can do additional research, I got a lot of information on him. Anybody else that knows any information about this dirtbag, let me know. So I'm more equipped to fight against this person, hold him accountable for what he did to me. And potentially many other people. I doubt I'm his only target. Like I said, there's no way in hell that he's just, I just stumbled on your channel. I'm using it like a private setting to my uncle because nobody's on that channel. I'm watching my videos except for my uncle. And somehow, David Wray just happens to find a video. Don't buy it. So all you have to do is look at his resume. This guy's a left-wing journalist. He's a lover of Barack Hussein Obama, one of the most left-wing, extreme presidents in global history. Like General Petraeus. So, all right, it's time to push back on this guy. Like I said, I'm sure he's a coward, but it's time for accountability. And at least we can speak out and expose this man for the villain that he is.